Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Tech Conversations. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to check out the Discord. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Also, make sure to check out Webull. Right now, you could earn up to 75 free fractional shares and a 7% APY. Remember, each share is valued between $3,000 and $3,000. So go ahead and check out Webull. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Now let's get right into today's video. So today I want to take a look at the chart for SPY and talk about a couple of things that I am noticing right now. So let's head on over to TradingView. So I'll put a link to TradingView in the description below. Really great charting tool. It is completely free to use. So here we are looking at SPY and we are on the daily chart. So a couple of things here. So last Friday, we talked about the almost 1 year trend line breaking. So where was this trend line? So let's go ahead and draw that here just to refresh your memory. So we had one touch here, a couple touches here, and then we had a couple of touches over here, right? So it was something like this right here. And so remember what I mentioned last Friday was that on Friday, we broke below this trend line. So this trend line for almost 1 year had acted as an area of support for SPY. Every time it touched it, we would see a bounce. Up until last Friday, right? We closed below it. We broke below it and closed below it. So I said, be careful, there might be trouble coming ahead. And so surely enough, the next market day, we had a huge pullback. Right, huge pullback. Now, there was also a mini head and shoulders that had formed. And remember, head and shoulders is a chart pattern and it's a bearish chart pattern. So where was this mini head and shoulders that formed? So let's actually take a look at that here next. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So remember, with a head and shoulders chart pattern, what we tend to see is price rise before pulling back, right? And so that's going to look something like this right here. So this would be considered the left shoulder here, right? Price went up before pulling back. Then we see the head form. So the head is going to be forming when price rises back up again higher than the left shoulder, which is what it did here, before pulling back again. So let's go ahead and draw the head here. So this would have been the head right here. And then finally, we get the right shoulder. So again, we're going to see price rise back up. Again, not as high as the head, lower than the head, before pulling back again. And so that would have been right here. Right, so we have our left shoulder, our head, our right shoulder. Now, when it comes to this chart pattern, what are we looking for to confirm the chart pattern? So we're looking for a break of the neckline, or some people look for a retest of the neckline. So how do we draw the neckline? So the neckline is formed by connecting the low after the left shoulder, which would have been here, and the low after the head that was formed. And so here's the low after the left shoulder, here's the low after the head. And so it's going to look something like this right here, right? Something like that. So again, all we're doing here is we're connecting the low after the left shoulder and then the low after the head. Connecting those 2 points, and basically we get again this what's called a neckline here. And so for the head and shoulders chart pattern, what we're looking for to confirm the pattern is a break of the neckline. So where did this break of the neckline happen? It happened last Friday as well, right? So here was a different thing you could have been looking at. Now, like I mentioned, some people look for a retest of this neckline. So what do I mean by that? I mean, they'll wait for it to break the neckline, but then they'll wait for it to come back up and retest the neckline, like it actually did here on Friday. And so some people might expect, that this trend line here, this neckline, acts as an area of resistance, right? It used to be support. Now people are looking to see if it switched, turned into resistance, and see if we get a pullback again here. So that's how some people play this head and shoulders chart pattern. Now, there may be an even bigger head and shoulders chart pattern potentially forming. So where is this potentially bigger head and shoulders chart pattern that's forming? So let's take a look at that next here. So again, right, price rises before pulling back. So we get a potential left shoulder here forming. And then what do we expect to see? Price rise again, this time higher than the left shoulder, before again pulling back again. That gives us our head here. So something like that right there. And then finally, right, what do we want to see? We want to see price rise again, which, so far it is rising again, before pulling back. And again, we don't want it to rise as much or more than the head here, right? So, potentially it may be forming here, right? Potentially we would expect to see, something like that right there. Price again rising back up, but not as high as the head, and then pulling back here. So it still hasn't completely formed. It might be potentially forming here though, and that's something to watch out for. So again, we would want to look for a break of the neckline if this indeed forms. So again, the neckline, right, low after the left shoulder, low after the head. You want to connect those 2 points. So something like that right there. Right, so came here, support, again went higher, pulled back, support, and then again we would expect, if it does form this right shoulder, to come back here, and we would want to see a break of this neckline, or again, like I mentioned, some people want to see that retest of the neckline. So definitely watch out for this potential even bigger head and shoulders chart pattern forming here. Now lastly, let's take a look here at the Lux Algo Signals and Overlays Premium Indicator. So I'll put a link in the description below to these premium indicators, and I'll also put a link to a video where I covered this specific premium indicator if you're interested. So just a couple of things I want to mention here with this premium indicator, right? So some things that happened recently, right? We see this red box here with a triangle in here. So this is a trend changing signal is what I like to call it, right? It was triggered here, basically telling us, hey, the trend might be changing here, right? The trend before this was we were in an uptrend here. Once we saw this, might have potentially let us know, hey, the trend might start changing here. We might start turning into a downtrend here. And, it was pretty accurate, right? We can see here after that, it pulled back quite a bit. So that was one thing this indicator potentially told us here. Next thing is that here we can see price fell under this, what's known as a smart trail here. So when price is under the smart trail, it's another thing that potentially tells us, hey, we are in a downtrend, a potential downtrend here. So again, after it, fell under the smart trail here, again, we did see another big pullback after that. So that's how you could potentially use that. Then notice here we have this red X here. So these X's here are potential exit signals here, right? This is where you might potentially want to close out of your trade if you went short or if you went long. And it actually timed the bottom here perfectly, right? Now, again, you should never use these just alone. You want to combine these with other forms of analysis. Now notice here, it also touched this green cloud down here. So these are reversal zones, right? There's one on top, there's one on bottom. So again, these reversal zones, like the name suggests, might be potential areas where we might see reversals. We might see support, we might see resistance. And again, it actually worked out perfectly this time, right? Notice here, right when this candle went into the reversal zone, this is where we started to get that reversal. And so that's how you could potentially use this indicator tool you could use along with other analysis to make better trading decisions. So anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Check out the Discord, a link to that in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think. Now I'll see you guys next time.